for anyone who's a movie fan, I'm sure you can list tons of reasons why it's tough being a fan of movies today. Anything from the current state of theaters, to doll and cookie cutter characters from major studios, to stores selling physical media closing, and much more. And as valid as all these reasons are, I think there's one overarching thing that affects everyone who's a lover of film today, and that is a lack of physical experiences. Now, growing up in the early 2000s was like a different world compared to today. There was no Disney Plus, there was no Netflix, and there was no streaming movies at home instead of going to the theater. Instead, on a Friday night, my family and I would go out to a video rental store, whether that was Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, or Family Video. Now just imagine for a moment Friday rolling around this week, and you hop in the car with your family ready to go to the movie rental store. There's a certain level of commitment there. You're getting in the car with the idea that you're going to go somewhere and actually have this experience together and choose movies and bring them back and watch them together. And you would get to the video rental store, and right away when you came in, the smell of popcorn, the ambiance, the movie posters on the wall, it all came together to provide a really special experience. And I vividly remember going down the aisles and my parents telling me, hey, pick out one movie and one game for the week. And they would pick their own out, and sometimes we'd pick one that we all liked that we could watch together. And like it was yesterday, I remember going down the aisles, looking at all the covers, not knowing what it meant, but just getting fully immersed in these movies and trying to figure out which one I wanted because the stakes were high. I had to choose right. I had that movie all week. And I remember always going to the action movies that were rated R, or sometimes the horror section, and asking, Mom, can I have this? And of course the answer was no, but there was something special about that. I knew that one day I'd get to the age where I could actually rent those. But I sort of knew that the trick was I just had to tell my parents I wanted to watch something with them, and we'd find a happy middle ground where I didn't have to get a kid's movie and I could watch something a little bit more adult with them. Once everyone picked their movie and for me my game out, you'd make your way to the counter. And there's something special about this part too. You're surrounded by popcorn and candy, and there's something just so special about that experience. And just to go to the counter and know that you have this video in your hands for however long, whether it's 3 or 5 nights, and you know you made a good decision. You walked down the aisles, you looked at what looked interesting, you read the back, and not to mention the fact that for video games, I would get to try a ton of games, even as I got older because Family Video stayed open till 2020. I would go and pick out a game and get to try it for a couple bucks instead of paying $60 for a game I wasn't sure if I would like. And you could go home and try to beat the game before bringing it back. Another really special experience. And I think with Family Video in particular, I never did this, but I think they had a program called the Free Rental for Good Grades program. And if a kid with good grades came in and showed them their report card, they were able to get free rentals. And I really think it's stuff like that that gives you that experience that you remember doing. And they had all sorts of stuff like that in the store. You walked in, if you put a quarter in the gumball machine and you got the right color of the day, well, you got a free rental. And I also believe they had free kids movies as well. I'm sure if you ask anyone that grew up during this period, even those that aren't necessarily movie enthusiasts, they would tell you just how special those memories are, and just how special it was even when they got older and went on dates at these places. I know it sounds funny, but I have really good memories of going on dates, again, on a Friday night, and just going down the aisles together, finding a movie that you both think you can enjoy. And at Family Video, they had a pizza window where you could order a Marco's pizza, and you'd keep looking for a movie and they'd ring the bell when it was ready to go. And next thing you know, you're walking out of the place with a movie and a pizza in your hand. It was amazing, but I digress. So as you get in the car on the ride home, excited about this new movie you have in your hands or this new game, you're taking something else with you as well. You're taking that experience you just had. And how do I so vividly remember all these details about going to Blockbuster or any of these video rental franchises? I remember because the experience was special, because I had a physical experience that stuck with me. And I truly believe that this experience directly poured into my personality as a person and granted me a love of film that I still hold on to today. Now, in 2022, video rental stores are all closed. Family Video closed 2 years ago, and kids growing up have no choice but to go to streaming to see movies. I have a lot of younger cousins, and I know the go-to app is Disney Plus, and they can see any Disney movie they want, which is really special. If I had that as a kid, I like to think that would just be so amazing to be able to watch any Disney movie that I want. But would it really? Something I've noticed from talking to them is that they look at movies as consumable. A lot of them know what movie's coming out next, and the older movies on the platform are not interesting to them. It's almost like they look at it the way that people look at YouTube, like what's the new video from so-and-so. That's the way it's tempting to look at Disney Plus, because you have this catalog of movies that you see all the time on there, but what's most exciting? The new Lightyear movie coming out, the new Marvel movie finally on the platform. And really there's two issues that arise from this. One, as I said, is the fact that old content gets overlooked as not as exciting. And the second is something far worse, I think. It's the fact that in an ocean of overabundance of content, it's really hard to appreciate. I think a lot of my appreciation for going to those video rental stores in the past was from the fact that I had to choose one movie. I didn't know everything about every single movie that's out or what's new or how old something was. I'm a kid. I'm going down the aisles, looking at the covers, figuring out what looks cool to watch. It's also how I discovered anime at the time. And I truly believe that growing up that way would not have given me this love and appreciation for film the way that my upbringing did. Take for example how I mentioned anime. I clearly remember discovering the anime section in my video rental store for the first time. And it was like the restricted part of the library. I felt like I shouldn't be back there and that something bad was going to happen to me for even looking at these things, because it was one of those weird sections that no one ever really went into. But it reminded me of Pokemon, so I figured I'd give it a try, and some of the covers looked super cool. They were covers like I had never seen before. And it felt like mine. It felt like a discovery I had made that was really special to me. And it's something I still carry into today. I love certain anime, and I think a huge reason for that was it was a discovery I made. And again, I had a physical experience discovering that. But today, if I were to log on to Netflix and come across anime, I've seen those titles a million times. I'm super familiar with it. I know what anime is as a kid, and even if I don't, there's tons of kids probably talking about it at school. It's just a sad reality when you realize that not having as much probably will give a larger appreciation for what you actually have. It's an age-old thing, but I think it applies to movies as well. And because this is a movie-oriented channel, I wanted to talk about this because I think the largest threat to movies is a lack of physical experience. Look at retail right now. For instance, Bed Bath & Beyond is in the news right now for how bad they're doing financially, and I think we all know that it's just one of many to eventually fall. And if you ask the question, well, where do I go to get bedding? Where do I go to buy things? Well, the answer is online. And that's great. I love Amazon. I order there all the time. Probably a little bit too much, but I don't think we can deny the fact that it's kind of sad that eventually there's going to be nowhere to go. And I think we can all recognize the fact that it's kind of sad for things that you're passionate about that there's no physical experience to be had. For instance, I also mentioned the current state of movie theaters. A lot of theaters right now, especially AMC's, seem just decrepit. They're falling apart, not being taken care of. People coming to the movies are ruder than ever. I've had multiple bad experiences in the past few months, more frequently than I think I ever remember before. It's like people feel like they're still on their couch at home, and they probably do. I mean, they have been on their couches at home watching movies there, so can I really blame them? And it's sad when that's the biggest physical experience we still have when it comes to movies, and it's not necessarily an enjoyable one. I think the general sentiment amongst movie lovers is that it's kind of a pain to go to the theater. It's expensive, the experience is not as good as it once was, and people going are inconsiderate. Now, I've said a lot of negative things, and I've tried to frame it in a certain way, but I want to shift to some positive. My hope moving forward is that people continue to go to the theater, and I think they will. I think Hollywood supports that happening. Recently, I heard Harry Styles making a really odd comment about a movie he stars in coming out called Don't Worry, Darling. And he basically says that it's the type of movie you need to watch in a theater, and it just needs to be watched in a theater. I'm obviously paraphrasing there, but that was basically the only thing of substance in his entire statement. And why am I bringing that up? Well, because I think it's just a symptom of Hollywood beginning to push people back to the theater. All of those things really immerse you in the experience and give you something to remember. And to me, that's a really positive thing. If people go back, that experience will still be alive. And I think that's the greatest experience of all. It's something that hasn't changed other than it being slightly worse lately, but at least we still have that. It's a special thing. Sitting down in the theater when the lights go down, with its respectful audience is an extremely pleasant experience that I think any movie lover cherishes. And I don't think video rental stores will ever come back, but I do wonder how culture will shift as we move forward. Will there be new experiences that we all get to enjoy as lovers of film? I'm not sure, but I'm holding out hope for that, and I really think that there's other people out there that also feel the same. Another possibility is that maybe these things will continue to exist in a different form. And I know I've said this before, but for instance, Blockbuster was meant to have mass appeal. There was no competition from streaming back in those days, so they had no issue staying open. But now that times have changed, I wonder if something like that will pop up again, but maybe in a different form, like a smaller operation, more meant for movie enthusiasts, kind of like what's happening to Blu-ray. It really seems like Blu-rays are more meant for movie enthusiasts now who want to see deleted scenes, who want to own that special slipcover or special edition of that movie. I just don't see regular people going out of their way to spend $20 on a Blu-ray anymore. And my hope is that some physical experience involving film, involving video games, will continue to exist, just maybe in a different form. Thanks for listening. Let me know your thoughts, and let me know if you like this style of video, this longer form. I have other ideas for long form videos, so if you like it, let me know. Thanks.